Hello everyone, this is Varaprasad Gaonkar, Assistant Professor, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, KLS VDIT Haryal. Welcome you all to the lecture series on control systems. We are dealing with module number 4 and this is lecture number 31. Let us begin the class. So in previous class, we discussed about drawbacks of P, PD and PI controller. What is the necessity of designing a PID controller and how actually the PID controller works. So we discussed about this graph. So from this graph, you can see that whenever we are having only P controller for unit step input, there will be a offset error will be present. If I'm using P or PD controller. If I use PI controller, then percentage overshoot and settling times are going to increase. But if I use PID controller, the offset will be 0 and the maximum overshoot, that is percentage MP, and settling time is also going to reduce. Because of this, in most of the control applications, we are going for PID controller instead of using the individual P, PD or PI controllers. So these parts we have discussed in your previous class. Now we will see what all things we need to cover in today's class. So first thing, we need to understand what is the meaning of root locus, because this module 4 is stability analysis with the help of root locus and Bode plot. So we need to understand what is this root locus. Then there are some rules to construct the root locus. So these parts we'll try to cover in this lecture. So learning outcome for this class is, after this lecture, the student will be able to explain the rules to construct the root locus. So we need to introduce ourselves to the root locus. So what is the meaning of root locus? Who found this root locus? The root locus technique was introduced by W.R. Evans in 1948 for the analysis of control systems. The root locus is a very powerful technique or tool for adjusting the location of closed loop poles. This is done to achieve a desired system performance by varying one or the more system parameters. So to adjust the system parameters, we need to adjust the closed loop poles. And to understand where we need to place the closed loop poles, we need to go for a root locus analysis. So generally, whatever we discussed in the previous classes, that is P, PI, PID controllers, those are done with the help of this root locus and Bode plot. So what is Bode plot? That we will discuss in upcoming classes. So to understand this, how to draw the root locus or basics of root locus, consider a open loop transfer function of a system like this. G of s is equal to k divided by s into s plus p1 into s plus p2, where this p1 and p2 are the poles of the system. So if I want to find out, this is open loop transfer function as I mentioned. So closed loop transfer function with a unity negative feedback will be what? G of s by r of s. So I'm considering the closed loop transfer function, and it will be equal to G of s divided by 1 plus G of s into h of s. So G of s is this, h of s, as I'm considering a unity feedback, so it will be 1. So what I'm going to get? So G of s is k s into s plus p1 into s plus p2 divided by 1 plus G of s is this term into h of s is 1. So I'm going to get this term as a transfer function. If I simplify this, I'm going to get this, because here if I take a LCM over here, so this term will come over here, this denominator and this denominators are going to cancel out. So left with this equation where C of s is equal to k divided by s into s plus p1 s into s plus p2 plus k. So this denominator of the transfer function is called as characteristic equation. So characteristic equation for this transfer function is s into s plus p1 into s plus p2 plus k is equal to 0. So based on this characteristic equation, we can tell that the value of p1 and p2 will depend on value of k, where what is this k? K is called as open loop gain. Open loop gain. So this value of p1 and p2 will depend on the value of open loop gain. So the definition of root locus is the path taken by the roots of the characteristic equation. In this problem, that is p1, p2, when the open loop gain varies from 0 to infinity, is called root locus. So when this value of k is going to, we are going to change the value of k from 0 to infinity. When this value of k changes, simultaneously value of p1 and p2 is also going to change. So when this value of k changes, if I plot the graph of p1 and p2, so the path taken by the roots of characteristic equation when the open loop gain k varies from 0 to infinity is called root locus. So this is the definition of root locus. So if I want to draw the root locus, then it will be having a two criteria. If the both the criteria are satisfied, then only that particular point will be the part of the root locus. Okay, so consider the characteristic equation. So characteristic equation is nothing but, we already discussed, this denominator of the transfer function will be characteristic equation. So in general, that I can write like this. That's what 1 plus g of s into h of s. So same thing I have written over here. You can see here, so 1 plus g of s into h of s is equal to 0. So if I shift this 1 from here to here, then I'm going to get g of s into h of s is equal to minus 1, or magnitude of g of s into h of s is equal to 1. So this is called as magnitude criteria. This indicates that the magnitude or absolute value of g of s into h of s is equal to 1 for any value of s, then that s value is a part of root locus. Similarly, we are having a second criteria which is called as magnitude criteria, because we know that g of s into h of s is minus 1. Minus 1 is nothing but what? It is 1 at an angle 180 degree. 1 at an angle 180 degree. So magnitude is 1. So angle should be plus or minus 180 degree. And we know that whenever it completes one full cycle, then it will become 360 degree, and once again it will become plus 1 only. So it should be odd multiple of 180 degrees. So how to get odd multiple? So 2q plus 1, where q is going to vary from 0, 1, 2, 3 up to different values. So with this, what I can get, if q is equal to 0, I'm going to get 180. If q becomes 1, 2 into 1 plus 1 will be 3. If q is equal to 2, 4 plus 1, 5. So I'm going to get only the odd multiples. So odd multiples means it will be on the negative axis. Okay. So this is called as angle criteria. What it indicates, the angle of g of s into h of s should be equal to odd multiple of 180 degree. So I can make a statement. Here we have derived the equations, but here we can make a statement. The magnitude criteria states that s is equal to sa. This may be any one point. S is equal to 1, s is equal to 2, whatever it may be. S is equal to sa will be a point on root locus if for that value of s, g of s into h of s, magnitude of g of s into h of s is 1. This is called as magnitude criteria. The angle criteria states that s is equal to sa, any arbitrary point, will be a point on root locus if for that value of s, the angle g of s h of s is odd multiple of 180 degree, that we have discussed, that plus or minus 180 degree into 2q plus 1, where q is going to vary from 0 to some value. Then if I want to find out the gain, open loop gain k for that any particular point s is equal to sa, then by using root locus I can find out that gain as k is equal to product of length of vector from open loop poles to the point s is equal to sa divided by product of length of vector from open loop zeros to the point s is equal to sa. So how to do this we'll discuss when we are solving the problem. So now we will discuss what are the rules for construction of root locus, because by using this angle and magnitude criteria, if I want to draw, it is not possible to check for all the points whether this point is part of root locus or not, or this point is part of root locus or not. So if I just consider magnitude and angle criteria, then it will be very difficult to draw the root locus. So to simplify the procedure, there are some rules are there. Actually there are 9 rules are there, so we'll discuss one by one. So first rule tells that the root locus is symmetrical about real axis. So what is the meaning of this? If I'm having consider I'm having x-axis and y-axis. So here this part is called as real axis. X-axis is called as real axis and y-axis will be imaginary axis or j omega axis. So this root locus, whatever we are going to draw now, this will be symmetrical about this axis. Symmetrical about this axis. So if the root locus, assume that the root locus is like this on the top hand side, then the root locus on below will be the symmetrical, means it will be a mirror image. So this is the meaning of first statement. The root locus is symmetrical about the real axis or the x-axis. So second point or second rule, whatever we are having, is each branch of a root locus originate from open loop pole corresponding to k is equal to 0 and terminates at either on a finite open loop 0 or open loop 0 at infinity. Means the whatever the root locus, the starting point will be at the pole, open loop pole, and termination point will be at open loop 0. If there are no finite open loop zeros, then the poles, the root locus will start from poles at pole and it will going to terminate or end at infinity. Okay, so the number of root locus branches terminating on infinity is equal to n minus m, where n is number of poles and m is number of zeros. Zeros means the numerator polynomial, the roots of numerator polynomial are called as zeros, the roots of denominator polynomial are called as poles. So next, rule number 3, the segment of real axis having an odd number of real axis open loop poles plus zeros together, right part of the root locus will be the part of a root locus. The segment of real axis having an odd number of real axis poles, open loop poles plus zeros together, right, are part of root locus. So what is the meaning of this? We will take one simple example over here. So consider I'm having a real axis. Just we will consider a real axis and consider we are having some poles over here. Okay, so consider only 2 poles are there. Okay, poles are generally denoted by cross marks. So here, if I consider this point, so right side to this, how many poles are there? Right side to this, 0 poles are there. So 0 is even number. So this is not part of root locus. If I consider from here to here, so how many open loop poles I'm going to get on the right side? I'm going to get only one pole on the right side. So this part is part of root locus. So during this, what I need to do? I need to thicken this line. I need to thicken this line. This line will be the part of root locus. If I come to this point, after this point, if I see on the right side, there are 2 poles and 2 is even. So this is not a part of root locus and this is not a part of root locus, but in between this is the part of root locus. Similarly, consider if I have added one more pole over here. Now, this will not be the part of root locus. Okay, this will be a part of, if I consider this, then if I consider this part, so on right side there is only one pole is there. So this will be the part of root locus. This part will be the part of root locus, and also from here to infinity, that is also will be the part of root locus. So this is nothing but given by this rule number 3. So the real axis will be the part of root locus if the open loop poles and zeros, summation of open loop poles and zeros is odd on the right side, then that will be part of root locus. Next point is rule number 4. If the rule number 4, the n minus m root locus branches that tend to infinity, because if there are less number of zeros and more number of poles, then some poles are going to reach to the zeros which are at infinity. So, do so along the straight line called as asymptote, making an angle phi a is equal to 180 into 2q plus 1 divided by n minus m. So here qa is called as angle of asymptote, and q is going to vary from 0, 1, 2 up to n minus m, where n is number of poles and m is number of zeros. Next, rule number 5. The point of intersection of asymptote with real axis is at S is equal to sigma A, where sigma is given by sum of poles minus sum of zeros divided by n minus m. Okay, so we need to find out the centroid, and this at the point of centroid we are need to draw the asymptotes at an angle. That angle we discussed over here, it is called as asymptote angle, and where that asymptotes we need to draw, that asymptotes has to be drawn at this centroid point, and that is given by sum of poles minus sum of zeros divided by n minus m. Next, rule number 6, the breakaway or break-in point of the root locus can be determined from the roots of the equation dk by ds is equal to 0. If there are r number of branches of root locus meet at a point, then they break away at an angle of plus or minus 180 degree divided by r. So this breakaway and break-in points you need to find out whenever there is a root locus between two poles or two zeros. If there is a break-in point between two poles, then there will be if there is a root locus between two poles, then there will be a breakaway point. If there is a root locus between two zeros, then there will be a break-in point. So how to find out this break-in or breakaway point? I need to equate dk by ds is equal to 0, and I need to find out the value of s. So this will tell what are the break-in or breakaway point. Next, equation rule number 7, the angle of arrival or angle of departure, this has to be calculated only for the complex poles or complex zeros. Angle of departure has to be calculated for complex poles. So the formula is qp or phi p is equal to plus or minus 180 into 2q plus 1 plus phi, where this phi is net angle contribution at the pole by all other open loop poles and zeros. Similarly, the angle of arrival at the complex open loop zeros can be given by phi z is equal to plus or minus 180 into 2q plus 1 plus phi, where phi is the net angle contribution at the zero by all the other open loop poles and zeros. So how to use this rule number 7? We'll take one example in upcoming class and we will try to find out, but for time being remember that the angle of departure we need to calculate for open loop complex open loop poles, and angle of arrival we need to find out for complex open loop zeros. And rule number 8 tells that the point of interaction of root locus branches with imaginary axis can be determined with the help of RH criteria or by equating or letting S is equal to j omega in the characteristic equation. So both methods we can use. Either you can go for Routh criteria, that is by forming the RH Routh array, or else we can substitute S is equal to j omega in the characteristic equation, and we need to equate the real and imaginary part, so that we need to find out what is omega and what is k, and value of omega will tell at what point the root locus is going to intersect with the imaginary axis, and value of k is going to tell at that instant what is the open loop gain. Next, rule number 9, the open loop gain k at any point s is equal to SA on the root locus can be given by this formula. So k is equal to product of vector lengths from open loop poles to the point s is equal to SA divided by product of vector lengths from open loop zeros to the point s is equal to SA. Note, if there are no finite zeros, okay, all the there assume that in this whatever we consider no k divided by that equation, in that we are not having any finite zero. So for that non-finite zeros, the denominator will be treated as 1, because otherwise if I substitute here 0, no, if there are no zeros, if I substitute here 0, so k becomes infinity and infinite gain is not possible. So to overcome that, whenever there are no finite zeros, then the denominator will be equated to 1. So in this lecture, we try to understood what is the meaning of root locus. So root locus definition is given by the path taken by the roots of characteristic equation when open loop gain k is varied from 0 to infinity is called as root locus. And we also discussed the 9 rules for constructing the root locus. In examination, you may get explain the rules to construct a root locus. So this is one of the important questions that you may get in your examination. And these are the books you can refer: Anand Kumar and also A. Nagurkani. Thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day.